Good morning. So much for being here. So sorry I am late. Let me fix this camera. It doesn't look quite right. There we go. How's that? Is that better? All right. Again, it's Sunday. My name is Dustin. Thank you for clicking on this live. I got something on my forehead. I don't know what it is. I just shaved my head, so probably cut myself a little bit. What are you going to do? Already shaping up to be a great day. Danny is here. Good morning, sir. I saw the little path that you've been working on, putting your puzzle together, as you say. Looks amazing. Jewel is here, telling me that I am rude. I had to have my coffee. How important is coffee? It's so very important. Bucky approves. See, Matt knows how to party. Matt knows how to party. He knows that he is coming live and direct from Disney's Beach Club Resort, a much better place than my little home office studio here in central Indiana. He's got it going on. Happy bacon and eggs, everyone. Probably what I eat later today. Maybe not some. I probably do have bacon. I probably should cook. Don't we always have bacon? We should probably cook. Oh, Brian Doyle is in the house. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for being here. John Gugahan says, and I thought I was late, so it all worked out. See, that's the way to look at it. Positivity. Positivity is the way to go. Everything's going to work out, especially when Uncle Big Guy shows up. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. How are you all doing this morning? Texas Gina is here. Good morning. She's just getting up for work. Woo! All right. Getting up for work. People are getting up for church. People are getting up I'm getting up here just to talk to you guys. Then I'll probably go back and take a nap. Even though I probably should do a lot more editing and things. So it's been an interesting week. Hanging out, having a good time. This camera is driving me nuts today. There we go. We'll see. That's better. Isn't that better? Yes. I want to start off with this coming Saturday. If you are in the central Indiana area and you want to hang out, I will be going to Hoosier Carnivores meetup at Geist. I should probably pull up all the details. I don't know when everything needs to be inputted or all that fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here. Low carb events. You know how we do. Go ahead and pull up this information for everybody to view. So we have an indie meetup April 27th at 11 a.m. Myself will be there. Or you can't even see me when I'm pointing to myself. So I will be there. Hanging out. They got steak and shrimp and broccoli for like $21. So I'm going to go and have a good time with that. Super excited for that. And then I want to show you all. There's a meetup in Cincinnati in the tri-state area it's also the same day, the 27th. So obviously won't be able to make that one because I'll be going to the one in town because it makes more sense for me to do that. But if you are going to be in the central Indiana area on May the 18th, stop on by. Let us know in advance. This one is $20, but we are providing brisket, pulled pork, pumpkin sausage soup, which is amazing. Paper products and utensils and some drinks and such. Bring a side, bring dessert, bring things to share. We'll have a good time. This is the third one of these we have done. So they are super fun. We have a great time. We can hold it to about 100 people. So be on the lookout for that. If you are able to be in the Indiana area around this time, reach out to Jackie, let her know. So Tina says she's got church tonight, and she's been seeing me commenting and hanging out in Sahil's lives and his comment sections of his videos. Sahil over at Headbangers Kitchen, he has an amazing channel, like 400 to 600 keto videos, recipes, fantastic. He is personally no longer keto, but that doesn't cause us to not like him. Is that right? We will still support him and everything that he does. I love his music as well. Evelyn is here. Good morning, dear. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. Yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to check out Sahil over at Headbangers Kitchen, he's got an amazing channel. Does such great work. All the lighting is always good. The colors always pop. Always looks good. John says he just started watching Sahil again. Yeah, Sahil's, I mean, he's doing a lot of non-keto stuff as well. But we still support him, you know, in everything that everybody does because we love that. So Matt says, love seeing this live every week, makes my Sunday morning go by a bit quicker. Well, I'm so glad that I could help you with that. Like, so what exactly, so you're security at the beach resort. So you just make sure, like, well, I'm so glad there wasn't security when we were at Ohana, because our granddaughter picked an orchid, and I know that they probably have to understand that's going to happen. Kids are going to pick flowers, but I don't know. So we went to, I know we went to the boardwalk. I don't think we went to the beach club. I know we were at boardwalk and walked around the boardwalk. Then we took a boat from the boardwalk to Hollywood Studios from the, because like boardwalk's like right on the back gate of the World Showcase at Epcot. Pretty awesome. So, yeah. Yeah, his old recipes are great. I have his cookbook. The photos are fantastic. Everything looks amazing. I even way back did a like kind of one of his videos. Like I kind of did a take on one of his videos, and his videos in inspiration to my early video where I did like a 3-ingredient breakfast or something like that. So yes, 100% that his keto cookbook is amazing. And you can get that over at Amazon.com. I will link it. I will link that in the description below once this live is over. So if you want to go back and check it out and pick it up, I think it's super affordable too. Let me double check that. I might be able to put that link for it here in the chat as well, because that definitely supports him. It is $15 for a hardcover. $15 for a hardcover. You literally cannot beat that. I will put that here in the links for everybody, just so everybody is totally aware that I'm going to go and put my channel up here. Hold on a second. This is an Amazon affiliate link, so I would get a kickback if you do purchase from here. If you do purchase from my link here, then you will. I have his apron too. Here's a link to his cookbook. So again, this is an Amazon affiliate link for me. Let's see. John says, I commented that I didn't know why I stopped watching him, but apparently a lot of people are not watching him as much. Well, that's the thing, is like so like it's weird. So as you as I watch YouTube, I branch out and watch different channels and watch different things like that, different subject matter, different interests for me. And it starts to recommend those videos more and more than it did old things. And then you kind of have to stop and go, okay, what is this going up to? And I go to my subscriptions every once in a while and scroll through and see what I'm missing. Because if you just click on your subscriptions, anything that you're subscribed to will show you the newest and greatest from each of those channels if they've put anything out in a while. I've even gone through and looked at old things that I'm subscribed to that have not put out content in 6, 8, 10 years. So there's crazy things like that too. So it's just all a matter of how much content they're putting out and how far you have kind of gone down other rabbit holes. YouTube wants to show you things you're going to click on. So if you see a couple of videos by someone like Sahil and you haven't clicked on them for a while and you've been clicking on other things, you've been watching stuff about car repair or woodworking or whatever YouTube has to offer, they are going to prioritize things that you have been clicking on because YouTube wants you to stay on the platform. It's not like the YouTube algorithm isn't some mythical beast. I know it can be weird sometimes for certain types of channels, but realistically, if you are someone who watches exclusively keto content, then that's what it's going to show you. If you watch a little bit of keto stuff, then you watch things about woodworking, or I watch stuff on guitars and computers and different things, Disney things that interest me. That's what it's going to show me, and it shows me a hodgepodge. So it tries to figure out what best to show me. So that happens sometimes. So unfortunately, yeah, and unfortunately, what Sahil said in the video he released yesterday or the day before, again as an update video, he quit keto like 5 years ago personally, but he still made keto content for a while. It was just one of those things where keto had started to drop off. So he was trying to make the best decision for his channel that he could. And I mean, realistically, being a keto centered channel means there's not as many views as unless you're going to be like Mr. Beast. So, we're here, we do what we do. Cindy is here. Good morning, dear. I'm so glad you are here. And John said he mentioned he's going to give it one more year and he doesn't see any growth in 2024. He is calling it quits. That's the thing, is YouTube is fickle. I've been doing YouTube for 4 years and I'm just under 5,000 subscribers. He did it for far less than that and got over 500,000. So it could be totally fickle. So I have my own reasons for doing this. Reasons why I do this is because I enjoy talking with each and every one of you. And doing this helps me. This keeps me on track. Now, I would love for hopefully someday this to become a sustainable thing where I can make enough money to pay my bills and make enough money to do all that. It's just it's not likely necessarily, right? I mean, it's just going to be maybe a little extra. Hopefully, it would be nice to just not be in the red. But, what are you going to do? YouTube is a passion project for just about everybody who does it. So even getting monetized, having enough views, having enough watch time, having enough subscribers is crazy. The fact that I do make any money off of YouTube is mind-boggling because of what it actually takes to get there. Even if he isn't keto anymore, his old recipe videos are awesome. Yeah, like I said, he's got like 400 to 600 of them. He's got a lot of them. And I'm super glad that he has them up there. He's put a lot of work and they look great. Becky is here. Good morning, Becky. Matt says that Sarah's channel goes in spurts. A few new subs every few days, then nothing for a few days. Growth on YouTube is slow at best. It is. So it also just really depends on how the content you're putting out there connects with people. And, I plan to do lives and continue to do lives. Now, the Saturday lives, like I didn't do one yesterday. I won't do one next week. It's all going to depend on how I can work a work schedule once I get a new job and all that stuff. So once that actually starts, if I can actually get a job and get it to start and do all that and kind of get an understanding of what my schedule's like, then I can go back to doing more lives where I can invite someone on and have a schedule. Until then, it's just one of those things like I can't really book something out in advance because I don't really know what's going on. So, I mean, this is something I know I'll be able to continue to do. Chances are, me working on a Sunday this early is not going to be something that happens. So, we're going to continue to do this. I'm going to be focusing on some review content. We've got about 6 review videos recorded. I have one edited that's already up for members. So if you are a member, you can see that review video already. I put out 2. We purchased $100 worth of Chalk Zero video that came out last week. And there's a member video of Chandra and I testing or tasting pickled quail eggs. So that'll come out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Monday at 9. So for me, I'm also going to be working on more like the talking head type videos, talking about things that could help new people, people who are old, but old to it, like old school keto people, new people that are coming to things, answering questions, my own thoughts on things. Because just like what Sahil said, and I've seen so many people say things like, if you're not doing keto 100%, then you're not keto. And I'm like, I would disagree. And I'm going to put videos on that out there just because I think my insight may help folks. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, and that's fine. But I think that that kind of content can grow a channel as well. So, um, yeah. So she was on with Cindy and Sana on Friday. It's always lovely seeing and hearing Sarah. I've actually got to meet Sarah. I met her at her job uh, over the October time when we were in Disney. It was fantastic. So she looks like she got 2 new ones. Yeah, I'm trying to work at Costco. I think it'd be a good place to work. I think they treat their employees fair. They pay okay, and it would be a place that I go anyway. I'm looking for part time just to help out with stuff, like yeah. Evelyn says that was funny. Watch the quail egg video. Yeah, like I said, it'll go out to anybody non-members tomorrow morning. Um, I was afraid that because Stacy gave those to us, and I was afraid how she would take the video, us taste testing it and all that stuff, putting it on video. You'll have to wait and see. If you're not a member, go check it out. If you want to become a member, do so. You can watch that video. Um, that's the statement. Yeah, I need to work on getting both Matt and Sarah on a live sometime soon as well. Just again, the planning is kind of up in the air right now, when and how that'll work. There's so many people that I want to get on. I have aspirations to have bigger people. There's people that I want to have on. Um, and I want to have, all people on. I'm going to have anybody that has a story that can help others on, but I also want to have others can come on that have big reaches to help push things forward so more people know what's going on, that this stuff exists, that you can help yourself type thing. Um yeah, so that's just the goal of this channel for me, is to be a beacon and help people who don't know what they don't know. Yes, I would love that. I hope, we will definitely work that out. Just got to make sure that I get my stuff situated, because I was so the Saturday lives came out of me doing this. I was like, well, I'll go live Sunday mornings at 7 o'clock, at 7:30 in the morning. I'm awake. Nobody's here at the house. I'm kind of just sitting watching YouTube, drinking coffee by myself, which is kind of nice. But I kind of get a little lonely a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of, we're empty nesters. During the week, we have the young one, and she keeps us on our toes. Then Saturdays and Sundays, I'm just kind of here. And I was like, well, I could be talking with people and reaching out and connecting and such. And So I decided to do this and I was like, no one's gonna show up. People aren't gonna watch at 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday. And to my surprise, you all show up every week, and I'm totally amazed every single time. I still like, well, they're not gonna come today. And James from Ready Set Keto was like, hey, if you do it on Sunday or Saturdays, I'll come on and talk with you. So he was the first guest. And then I just kind of started reaching out to a few people. And before I knew it, I was booked all the way up till just to like last week. So last week I had the final guest that I had booked. Well, not final. I have Jen Delaney and Brian Delaney booked. It's just a matter of when they can make it happen because they've been working a lot and they've been stretched pretty thin. So I honestly go back and forth with keto and Atkins. Unfortunately, I slack for months at a time. And that's the thing. Okay. So I don't necessarily see much of a difference between keto and Atkins, to be honest with you. I think they're basically just kind of interchangeable in my mind. At least that's just the way that I look at it. And I look at things, okay. I look at the ketogenic lifestyle for the first year. You really should focus on being as strict and consistent as you can be. Now, this is a general like outline of like what I would do if I was starting over. Because when we started in 2016, there was not a lot of keto products on the market. It was whole foods, meat, eggs, vegetables. There wasn't really any ice cream on the market. There was no, I didn't even know about keto chow. I mean, I think even keto chow is probably in its early infancy at the time. Um, so we had no real option but to be strict. And I was listening to two keto dudes, and the whole idea of cheating was just kind of out the window. So I had a long road ahead of me. So the wife and I we hashed it out, and you know we hashed it out. We made it through, and we didn't cheat for a long time. And I think that was one of the big things that made us successful. But over time, I think we've been able to stick with it, and we haven't had that feeling of okay, that feeling of well, we're just going to be done with keto. We're not going to do keto anymore because we have started giving ourselves grace. We have started focusing on consistency over perfection because we understand that there's going to be times where we eat what we want. We're going to go to Disney. We're going to go on vacation. We're going to go out to dinner with friends sometimes. And we've eliminated that struggle or that stress about food that we once had. Now, over time, living a keto lifestyle becomes easier. It becomes something you don't even stress about. Like grocery shopping is so much easier now than it ever used to be. I focus on meat, eggs, broccoli, cheese. What we cook is relatively simple and fast because we've got other stuff going on. Typically, the only time I'm putting a lot of effort into a recipe is if I'm making a video. So let's see. Charlie is here. Good morning, sir. Prepping some food for the week ahead. Good luck. Christian Delorme is here. Thank you so very much, Christian. Becky says, you're an early riser too. I've been up since 4 o'clock. It's time for coffee for me. Coffee. What's in my coffee? Cream. Cream for me. Um, I started off with in 2016 with the butter and the coconut oil, and I just kind of evolved just to have cream in my coffee. I used to drink it black before going keto, and then we did the whole butter and everything. Mr. Grant Gregory, member for 5 months. Thank you so very much. Mr. Grant Gregory is an amazing gentleman. Congrats on the 10-year transformation, my man. 100%. Thank you so very much. It's one of those things that I forget to share. And I forget about it because to me, I don't have a lot of before photos. As someone who was very large for so very long, you just hide behind people. You're not in photos. You become the one who's taking the photos. So I just don't have a lot of photos. So I have very few before photos. And I still not really, I mean, I'm in front of the camera all the time, but you see this. You're not seeing the whole me. So I had a picture taken last month with the 2KK meetup in Elkhart. So I popped that together with the old photo. So that's 10 years, 2014 to 2024, 10 years. It's just, one of those things, right? Just I think it's good and it's important to post because it helps me mentally. And it also, there's going to be always a churn of people who aren't going to go back and look at photos that I posted on Instagram 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. So kind of reposting and rehashing old content on places like Instagram and Twitter, and even here on posts on YouTube, uh, is beneficial. And I forget that. And then sometimes I think, well, I don't want to post the same stuff over and over again. But then I have to remember, well, there's going to be a churn. There's going to be people who saw that who are no longer paying attention, and there's new people who could use that kind of inspiration. So, I also feel a little like I talked about this last week. I kind of feel a little bit of myself. Like I start looking at myself and I'm, man, I'm a handsome person, like in my own eyes, but I never thought that for so very long. I was always hiding from the camera, didn't want to look in the mirror, well, had very low self-confidence, very low self-opinion, if you will. And it's just one of those things like you have to kind of break that cycle and just say, okay, I'm going to post these photos. People may think I'm narcissistic or whatever, but at the same time, hopefully these will inspire someone and help someone. And they'll say, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see where you've been. I see where you are. This is a real thing. This is something that could help me, hopefully. So I mean, again, that's where I'm at there. So Becky says, I still believe in whole foods, so I know what to put in there. Yeah, 100%. Chris Cook in Nashville is here. Hello, brother, and all friends. I finally got to work and logged in. How's everyone this morning? I'm doing great. I had my coffee. Can't go wrong with that. I love coffee. Mm. And Matt is saying that even at Disney, it's possible to stay keto. You just have to make choices to stay keto. Yeah, and 100%. But so here's the deal: like with someone like me going to Disney, Disney is like an every 5+ year thing. We went in 2015, then we went again in 2018 and 2015 we were not keto. I was still large. I still looked like that photo that I posted yesterday, and still running around the parks 20, 30,000 steps a day, just chugging along. It was rough. I had a blast. It's one of the best times I've ever had in my entire life. It was just such an eye-opening experience going to the parks because I'd always wanted to go as a kid. Now, when we went in 2018, we were 2 years into keto, and we did eat a good amount. We did eat primarily keto, but there was a couple of meals where we had like the bun and maybe we would have substitute up fries for Brussels sprouts if we were to sit down restaurant. But we did have some desserts. We did go to, we were at Epcot during Food and Wine, and you can get little portions, 5, 6, $7 for a small portion. We would split each one, try them out, and we had some sweets. We had some. I mean, and then when we went back this time, it's like, okay, I don't want to regret being at Disney and regret for 5 years that I didn't allow myself to have a Dole Whip or something that has such a strong memory to it. Something that has. I'm not there to eat Mickey bars and all that kind of stuff, but because I can get that kind of stuff at home. But there's things that you can't get at home. Like when we were in Hollywood Studios, we got that big Wookiee cookie. Thing is huge. And it was good. It was like a gigantic oatmeal cream pie. And those are just things to me, like if I'm on vacation in a place like Disney, I'm going to go for the things that I can't get here necessarily. And I'm going to enjoy myself. But I also understand, we had a condo and we were cooking keto at home. I mean, we did have a night where we got pizza. We had a night where we got Chinese food. We were there for a week and a half. So that's how I think that surviving this long, 8+ years on a ketogenic lifestyle, where people say it's not consistent or it's not possible to stay Keto, it's not possible. It is. But you have to truly dig in and understand yourself, understand what makes you tick, understand that if you want to maintain this lifestyle, because for me, again, this lifestyle has no longer really anything to do with weight loss for me. I still have some weight to lose. I gained weight back from the pandemic. I hadn't even reached a goal weight before the pandemic. But for me, there's so many other things that keep me here. There's the mental clarity. There is the food control. I'm no longer I'm no longer, tied to food. I can go and I can forget to eat for an entire day and just completely space it. But there are days where then I'll have something that I probably shouldn't have. And I do keep that under control and I have that ability. Now, if I wasn't 95 plus percent keto, then I would be going off the rails and I wouldn't have that food control anymore. But I had to understand that about me. I had to understand that I have to maintain a ketogenic lifestyle to maintain the control, to be able to understand myself enough to know that I can still look forward to other food things. And I know that there's the whole thing where food is fuel. Food is fuel, food shouldn't be entertainment. Food shouldn't be a reward, but food is celebration. It's been like that throughout all human history. Food is celebration. Food is family. Food brings people together. Now you have the choice on what kind of food brings you together. Now, Sunday nights, we've been trying to have our family over, our boys and our girls, and everybody over to hang out and have dinner with us on Sunday nights. And we do, Shannon and I eat what we eat. The kids are going to eat what they eat, but we just get together. But food is one of those things, but they're not going to come over there. I mean? We're going to eat and we may play a game, run around and act like crazy chickens because we got the granddaughter here. So I think just having the ability to understand oneself, and I don't even, and it's one of those things like I couldn't have had that freedom in the beginning. In the beginning, I had to be strict. And then over time, I've been able to branch out. And still, I mean, even now, most days I'm having coffee, I'm having burger, I'm having eggs. It's simple. It's primarily carnivore, but then I understand too that I have to allow myself to have things that are like not carnivore, not keto things, because once I have that in my brain to where I'm never going to have X, Y, or Z again, then that's going to cause me some mental issues. And I think that's where the longevity of keto comes into play is we start locking that in. Well, I'm never going to have rice again. I'm never going to have, you know, ice cream sundaes from wherever you used to get those from. You're never going to have something again. And I think once you put that in place and once you have that kind of, I'm never going to do this again, then there's a longing that builds up and then it finally breaks. And then you're like, you know what? I don't want to be keto anymore because I want to have what I want to have. And I think you can do both. Now, is this something I think is for everybody? No, there's people out there who cannot even handle that. And they have to completely abstain. There's people who can already moderate pretty well. They're doing keto because they found a better way to eat, but they can still moderate. If that someone gave them 2 Oreos, they would be just fine. I'm not that person. So we still are very careful on what we bring into the house. And typically, if we do bring something into the house that is not keto or whatever, however you want to look at it, then we will send it home with the kids. We'll have it, and then it's gone. We don't keep the leftovers. Maybe some pizza sometimes, but even like I said a couple of weeks ago, we went and we got a large. I got a large pizza for me. Now, one of the things is you can look at this two ways. You can look at, okay, Dustin went and got a large pizza, a non-keto large pizza. Well, that's a fail. You can look at it like that, or you can look at the fact that I used to be able to eat that pizza in one sitting. That would have been no thing. Pizza, breadsticks, one sitting, miserable, hating life. I had like 3 slices. and I had 3 slices and a couple of breadsticks, and I was like, "Oh," that is not normal. That's a win for me. And then it took me 3 days to eat a pizza, where I used to do that in one sitting. So I think that there are things you have to look at and give yourself grace. You have to look at things, even on that video about the Chalk Zero, there was a comment on from somebody. It's like people, it's funny, like like how do people think this stuff is keto? And I'm like, some people it's not. Some people can't handle Chalk Zero chocolate, whether it impacts their glucose or it's a trigger for them, and they just eat the whole entire whatever they have. It's up to the individual to decide what is going to work best for you. So, like when someone like the Hill says, keto isn't for me, I have to trust their judgment. I have to trust that they're making the best decision for them. Just like people that have been in our community, people that have been carnivore, and they say things like, you know what, keto's not for me. I'm going back to Weight Watchers. I have to support them. I have to say, well, they are making the best choice with the information they have for themselves. And you support them. And hopefully they stick around and they hang out and they stay in the community. Just because I'm a keto channel doesn't mean I'm not here for carnivores or ketovores or dirty keto or whatever the case may be. Weight Watchers, vegan, I don't care. I want people to try and make the best choices they can for themselves, like I've done. Because for me, the choices that I'm making, I'm doing with some sort of education that I've learned over these past 8 years doing keto. So I have a better understanding of me and know that the decisions I'm making are, at least in with the information I have today, the best decisions I could be making. So I think that yeah, long-winded, right? Uh Grant asking, do you do a full week prep? We'll find out that in a little bit, I'm sure. Thoughts on sweeteners? So for me, sweeteners, I think it really comes down to how you feel. Like we use stuff with like sucralose in it sometimes. We have like those water enhancer things that we use. We do have certain things with sweeteners in them. I don't use sweetener in my coffee. Typically only in the water enhancers is going to have sweeteners, or sometimes I have diet soda that's got aspartame in it. I'm not a huge anti-sweetener person, but I also am not a person that I don't think you should be having tons and tons of it every day. But to me, again, that's just my outlook. I think if that's what you need to get through the day, if you need 4 Diet Cokes to keep you from doing whatever and going off the rails, then have your 4 Diet Cokes. I mean, realistically, anything we can do to keep ourselves as best on track as we can is way better than going back to where we were, right? Let's see. Yeah, so Chris had put a video out. Um, Chris put a video out of he made some I don't know what's going on here. There we go. Chris put a grits video out, carnivore grits. I'm going to share that link for everybody in here. I haven't had a chance to watch the video. Grits was one of those things that I was never super. I liked grits from time to time, but I liked northern grits that are a little soupy. I know I would put butter and sugar in them. And then I know as you get further south, the thicker they get. So he's got shrimp and grits included with his. So here is his post for carnivore grits. I imagine that's for me. I don't know for sure, but I appreciate that very much. It always good to remember where you come from. Yeah. Let's see here. Cindy says about to put up a progression video of pics I have. Yeah, do it. I think because it's one of those things that's hugely beneficial because it's good for you to remember where you've come from. It's good to show other people that what's possible. Uh Charlie says, Grant, yeah, for a week ahead, I eat OMAD. I'm usually prepping for 6 or 7 big servings of meat, slicing in a serving, thawing, griddling, smoking, stovetop cooking. Working hard. Let's see. It's hard to get Chris cooking Nashville. The mashed potatoes, carnivore pizzas are great. Um, I still need to try the pancakes. There's a lot of things I need to try that he's done. I just have to get I just don't have any egg protein powder or egg white powder. I'm going to get some. Thank you, Chris. I truly appreciate you. I do. I mean, I fast most days. Um, I try to eat just once a day. Doesn't always work out. And I have my coffee, which I know breaks the fast, but to me, like I get up and I don't even have my coffee usually till 1 or 2 in the afternoon during the week. So I'm fasting from whenever we go to bed until, or whenever we have my last meal, usually maybe 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock until 1 o'clock the next day. And I have my coffee, then I'll have my food somewhere between, I'll have like a meal sometimes 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, depending on the day and depending on how hungry I am. Some days I don't. It really just I let my hunger signals dictate when I eat or how I feel. Health and food culture experiences can coexist, I believe, unless you struggle with triggers and send you off rails into addiction. They have the experience and go right back to it after. Yeah, that's the thing is I think we get so into what I'm doing for me is the only way and it should be the way for everybody. I think some of us get locked into that, and we don't mean to. It's human nature, and I just think like I know that I've seen so many people who have started with keto, then they go to carnivore, then they may do something else, and I just think it's one of those things like we really need to embrace everybody who's living under like the whole proper human diet umbrella. So, like to me, keto itself is kind of like the top. There's like keto to me would be like the proper human diet or whatever. Cause I know like proper human diet is kind of like a coined phrase from Dr. Barry. But that's to me like, anything that's going to kind of allow you the metabolic flexibility to go in and out of ketosis relatively easily. So I mean, even if I have like an off meal, I'm not struggling anymore to get back into ketosis or feel the mental clarity or anything I don't have those bad long stretches to get back to where I feel. I mean, I just don't anymore. And I think that's also a benefit of allowing myself the grace because I think maintaining a metabolic flexibility is important. I think if you strive to stay in ketosis 100%, then I think then maybe your glucose sensitivity can go off the rails. Then you have trouble with that, and then you can't handle glucose. Even it's kind of like backwards, maybe. And I'm not a doctor or anything like that, so I don't really know for sure. But it seems like if you can be unable to get into a ketogenic state because you have so much glucose in your body, then your body kind of forgets how to work with ketones. And I imagine eventually it might do the same thing for glucose. Though I would imagine because your body can manufacture glucose, it may not. But then again, I mean, there's just things that I think about from time to time. But I started keto from doing anti-inflammatory living for my achy joints, inherited the gene from my mom. Yeah, I had that too. I was taking like ibuprofen all the time, and I wasn't even thinking that like that was for food or anything like that until it just was one of those happy coincidences. You know what I mean? Like, you know. And Chris is saying food isn't entertainment. I don't necessarily think it's entertainment outside of it's kind of become that. And it's hard to break that cycle, like going to the movies and having popcorn, or going to the movies and bringing snacks, or watching TV and not having something to eat is very, very difficult. And I struggle with that. Um, reward. I mean, it's difficult to have like a tough time and not go and get something to eat to comfort yourself. And just as like it, and like I don't think we should be doing like it's such a nuanced issue, I think. But food is cultural. Food is survival, and we've always celebrated survival because throughout human history, we've never been in a situation like we are now for the majority of people in the Western world. There is so much abundance that we eat so much that there isn't any kind of idea that we could go without. Now, I know that there are people who do go without, and there is a struggle on certain levels, but for the majority of people in the Western world, there is no struggle. There's an abundance of food. I even think people who are struggling have an overabundance of the wrong kinds of food because they're cheap. So they get the cheapest food they can get. That's a whole another issue of itself. Um, and different than other animals and creation as well, losing the leads. Yes, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I just think humans are so complicated. We're so nuanced, and we get stuck in structures and things that we've built for ourselves and traditions and cultures and all these things, and then we basically gets embedded in our DNA. We couldn't possibly, like, like the idea of living without morning coffee. I can go without coffee. I don't want to live without coffee. That's the thing. I don't want to live without coffee. That sounds miserable to me, but I can do it. I'm going to be sad, but I can do it. So many things other than weight loss for me. I had a complete allergy-free hay fever season in 2023. First time in my life, no meds. That's one thing that happened to me. I was taking Benadryl like a crazy person. Like I probably should have had negative effects. I probably did, but I was taking like 5 doses, or I was taking four at a time, like 5 times a day, just to keep from sneezing all the time. And now I hardly ever take Benadryl. The last I took Benadryl once, maybe twice in the last 8 years because I got something on me that broke my hands out. It was super itchy. So that was a reactionary issue and not a preventative issue. So that I just needed that Benadryl, the antihistamine, and that to help me with the itchy. That wasn't something that's normal. We never quite figured out what it was. We thought it was bacon for a while. So I got like food grade gloves and was using gloves when I was cooking and doing all things like that. So I don't know what it was. And it found out it wasn't bacon because I've cooked bacon since. I mean, I don't know. Texas Gina says, for me, I went keto in 2015. I came across it on the internet and was doing great until I had to rush back to California when my mom was definitely ill and I was eating whatever my family brought. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's easy to kind of, I mean, like, the before times, like up to 2019, 2020, we were doing great. And then there was that 2 year period, 2020, 2022, where things kind of broke down, obviously, as we all know. And we started doing things like ordering takeout and having more off plan meals. I mean, we were still primarily doing the right thing, but then we didn't go anywhere. There was nowhere to go. We were just home. And I don't think we've ever strayed too far from being, we've always still been more keto than we weren't. And that's one of the things, like, that's the thing, is like, I want to make the content about that as well, because I think people get the idea like, well, you had a cheat meal, you got to give up now or whatever. You know what I mean? I just see that people have some of those mentalities I see on the internet. I see so many people, well, I was so deprived, it was so restrictive. I don't find it restrictive at all. I just don't. I mean, I literally, so this is a hot take for me, okay? This is a hot take. I eat exactly what I want to eat whenever I want to eat it. And I think that's a mentality that I had to give myself. I had to have the mentality that I'm eating exactly what I want when I want, because even if someone offers me something that I hadn't planned on, if I eat it, I ate it because I wanted to. If I avoid it, I avoided it because I wanted to. Every day I eat burgers and eggs because I want to. I have my coffee because I want to. Sometimes I make a huge batch of broccoli and eat a ridiculous amount of broccoli because I wanted to. There's not a lot of things in this day and age that I do for myself without wanting to. I still run across things that trigger me to do things, that try to sway me to want to do things that I don't necessarily want to do, or they try to sway me to make me think it's a good idea at the time, getting upset at something and thinking, well, I can just go to McDonald's and get some nuggets and fries. But then I realize that that's not what I want to do. It seems what I want to do in the moment, but then I realize after time that that's not what I want to do. So living this ketogenic lifestyle is exactly what I want to do. And when we go to Disney and I eat school bread at Epcot, it's because I wanted to. And you can't get that stuff anywhere else. And I'm not at Disney very often. And it's like one of those things like I'm going to enjoy myself when I go on vacation. But like I said, we had a condo, we had burgers and we had primarily keto stuff most of the time. We did order in a little bit here and there because, it's vacation and you get a little lax and, I broadened what I wanted or what I allow myself to have. I mean, you have to have some self discipline, but that goes along with understanding and deciding what you do and you don't want. Like I can go to the grocery store anytime I want and buy Oreos. I'm a grown up. I have the technology. I can get in the car. I can drive to the Walmart and I can get a package of Oreos. I don't because I don't want to. Not because keto says I can't have it. I do it because I don't want to. And I think that's one of those major things I think that should be talked about a little bit as well. What do you do? What do you want? I mean, I have cravings. And sometimes I give in to those cravings because I decide that, it sounds good enough and I want it. I mean, and I'm going to be honest and transparent with all of you about it too. Let's see. Lost my mom right after that the pandemic hit and we struggled ever since and I was put on too much weight. Yeah, I gained about 30 pounds during the pandemic. I'm still struggling to get that back off. I mean, I'm doing my due diligence and doing everything that I can do. But weight loss again isn't my primary focus. Consistency is my primary focus. So, I mean, I know I need to lose some weight, you know. Becky's an abstainer. She can moderation doesn't necessarily work for me. Now, like, and by moderation, as far as how I look at it, is like I can't keep a package of something in the house and just have one or two. Doesn't work. But I know that if I want something and I have it in the house and I have just enough to last me that meal, I'm okay because then I can't go back and do it because then I have to order it again. And that's going to be something that's there's that that mental block because I don't want to do that. And I think and if I knew that I was going to go down a path where I'm going to order that all the time, then I wouldn't then I would probably rethink what I wanted. And I have Chandra too. We bounce things off of each other. Sometimes we're no good because I'll think something and I'm like, I'll bounce it off of her, hoping she'll be like, no. And she'll be like, oh, let's do it. And I'm like, I guess we're doing it. Or sometimes, if I'm having a bad day and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to McDonald's. She goes, no, that'll make you feel bad. I'm like, you are right. Thank you. So, I think that Danny says, I think I have that problem. If I cut sugar sweets totally out, builds up than the being. Yeah. If I use keto chow or something, keto chocolate keeps me on track. But yeah, I think having something and allowing yourself grace is going to go a lot farther than just completely denying yourself of anything. Because there was a video, and I can't remember whose video it was, but she was talking about how her sister had come in and they were talking, and like they were at her sister's house or somebody's house, and the sister goes in the fridge, pulls out a container, opens up the container. There's a piece of cake in there, the cake, a whole cake or whatever. She has like one or two bites, puts the lid back on, puts it back in the fridge, and goes on about her day. And she goes, "How can you do that?" And she goes, "Well, I just know that I can have a couple of bites because it's not the last time that I'm going to have this cake." And I think when we have that mentality, well, this is the last time I'm going to have it, you're going to eat the whole thing. And I know Autumn talked about that in her video last week. And so Autumn is another person that's kind of come out and said, I'm not really doing keto anymore. And that's kind of where, like, the wheels are turning, because we've got Sahil saying that. There's Autumn saying that. I've had people on Instagram saying, I tried keto and it just wasn't sustainable for me. And there's all these things. So the wheels are turning. And I've been thinking about this for the past week and a half or so, probably even longer, because you do see people coming and going, and they say, well, I'm going to do keto, then I'm not going to do it because it's not sustainable for me. And I just have to ask, I mean, obviously I don't ask them this question, but I ask it to myself. Well, what makes it sustainable for me and not anybody else? Or how can people not find it sustainable? And I think it really just comes down to what I was talking about, is eating what I want. I eat whatever I want, which is kind of a clickbaity way of saying that I have dialed in how I eat to fit me. I didn't mold myself to fit keto. I have utilized keto to fit me. I have utilized keto and molded it to fit who I am. And I think a lot of times we mold a diet like keto, and I use the word diet sometimes, but it's a lifestyle. But I think a lot of people look and they mold themselves around what they see other people living a lifestyle doing. And then that doesn't work for them because they didn't put the work in to make it fit them instead of making them fit it. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right? Maybe. So Chalk Zero is a company, and I'll bring up their website here. They're a keto candy company. So they've got stuff like Rhea bars, basically keto candy bars. They're kind of like a Snickers in a way. They've got these royal things that are kind of like Ferrero Rochers. There's caramels, there's chocolate squares, there's almonds dipped in chocolate and such. So, yeah. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, Mr. Grant Gregory. And I've seen something recently that's just kind of strange. I've seen the whole carnivore thing where and I know this is one of those weird things, and it's kind of like on the opposite spectrum of what I'm talking about. You get these some of the people in the carnivore community get to a point where they're advocating for uses of honey, and they're like, they were I saw a video where they were taking egg yolks, and they were um basically what's the word I'm looking for? I've seen them where they do it in salt. They put egg yolks in salt and cover them in salt for a couple of days, and then they be kind of, I don't know what I can't think of what I'm talking about. But then I've seen them where they're doing it with honey, and I'm thinking to myself, honey is like so much sugar. And I know that the people that are promoting this are people who are very active. They're in peak physical performance, and they are people that can handle kind of that fructose glucose spike in their daily routine, whereas someone like myself could not. And I think that's kind of disingenuous sometimes when I see some people in the carnivore community showcasing things like that. While I understand that it works for them, but for the majority of people that are following them, it's not going to work. And I just kind of understand that. You know what I mean? Grits are basically like oatmeal made out of cornmeal, if I'm saying that correctly. So grits is basically oatmeal made of cornmeal. It's good as I've had it. I used to eat it because we have a place called Waffle House. Yeah, dinner and a show. Not kidding about that. But it's a 24-hour breakfast focused place, and they have waffles and eggs and grits. And here in Indiana, when I would get them, they would be very soupy, almost like a really thin porridge, if you will. And you'd put butter and sugar in it. And it was like delicious. Then you go further south, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, less soup and more like mashed potatoes almost consistency. But yeah, Hungry Heath is here. Hey yo, how you doing, sir? Glad you are here. I'm kind of behind here. I'm gonna try to move forward quickly here. Oh, Matt is good, but it's tough when you're up 18 hours a day. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like I mean realistically you have to then if you're up 18 hours a day, you just need to then make it work for you. Too mad, or just play with a window instead of one meal, split it into two, make it, and then just put it in the side of a window, like do like a 4 hour window or whatever works best for you, or you know your schedule better than anybody does. I love telling folks that I fast every day, and that's why my first meal is called breakfast. That's like breakfast for lunch or breakfast for dinner. Well, I mean, dinner's my first meal, so breakfast it is. John, thank you so much for being here. Have a good day. Be safe. Personal experience. I spent 5 years doing classic keto, high fat, low carb, moderate protein. And that time I have never tracked anything. I tracked stuff for like 2 weeks, maybe a month in the beginning. And then I realized right then that if I was going to succeed, I could not track. Because if I was going to have to track everything, I would have given up. And I know that sounds so bad, but again, it comes down to understanding yourself. I understood that if I tried to do that and I had to put everything I was going to eat into that, I would have given up and I would have just been like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. So I tracked for like kind of a week to kind of get a base idea of what I was doing. And then I would even, go and buy lunch meat and weigh it out and put it in portions and do things like that. I probably could stand to do that again, maybe. But I usually eat one meal. I eat about a pound of food at a time. So, you know, Evelyn saying, talking about food culture, I just introduced my husband to cooking with dog. He's crying because he's laughing so hard. It's not keto. I don't know what that is. There was a bunch of channels I used to watch, like Pit Boys Barbecue, and they would make all these cool things on the bike. They'd make all these elaborate barbecue things, like all these things like bacon wrap stuff. And I was like, and then they would just slather it in barbecue sauce. How do you handle people's negative comments towards keto and the carnivore lifestyle? I don't get a lot of negative comments against keto. I get a lot of negative comments. Well, I don't get a lot of negative comments in general, but the negative comments I get are something I'm talking about isn't keto enough. Or I got a comment the other day that the white bread chaffle video that I had put out like 4 years ago, they tried it and it was the worst thing. It was worse than keto store bought bread. It tasted so bad they were never going to make it again. Okay, well, I hope you find something you like. And that's my thing. Like, people will say things and, well, I hope you find something better. And if you do, let me know. I mean, I don't really have time for the negativity because I've got enough that going here. I'm a person who battles. I try to be very positive, but I mean, I'm human. Living in the Midwest and then the South, food is a large part of the culture. It's not good to have everything revolve around food anymore. I agree, but it's like one of those things like food is what really does bring people together. Like, and that's what I even did with my OMAD. When I was working at an office job, I made sure my OMAD was at home. I didn't bring a lunch to work. I didn't eat at work. I didn't do anything like that because I knew that if I got home, if I ate at work and then I got home and didn't eat and sit down with the family and eat with the family, I would be losing so much. And if I just sat there and didn't eat, it would be weird for everybody. So I shifted and made my OMAD eating with everybody because that quality time with the family does revolve around food. Realistically, anymore, how busy we all are, the only times we can really get everybody together to sit down is to go out to dinner, come over for family dinner. I mean, just trying to make it work is the hard part. So he says, seems like every time I have a cheat meal, I get bubble guts and bathroom pyrotechnics. Maybe one day I will learn. Just also, I mean, and that's the thing is like, it's like with Chandra, she loves the Russell Stover toffee bars, and she loves the Albany sugar-free gummy bears. She'll mess up and eat too many, and then she has the exact same thing, but yet she continues to do it. So maybe there isn't a learned. There's just, well, that's what it's just what it is for what I'm going to do. You make a conscious choice. I don't eat that stuff because that stuff is awful. It's painful. I don't want that. I mean, I already get some of that sometimes. Like if I go a long time without having broccoli and I have broccoli, then it's like, you know what I mean? TMI maybe, but that's what we're here for. The TMI coffee hour. Good morning, lurking and shopping. Good morning, Brenda. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, dear. Exactly. And Carl says I no longer want the same things that I used to want. And I mean, I have things, and like there are things in my life that I do truly think about. There were things that were staples in my life that I still think about from time to time, but I'm kind of far removed from them to want them on a normal basis. We used to live on Kraft mac and cheese. I think about that all the time. We used to live on like the Tombstone, like the Tombstone and Red Baron frozen pizzas. We used to have ramen all the time. You know, I see those in the grocery store because I'm in the store and I see those things and I'm walking by. The end cap aisle has the big display of frozen pizzas, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem like so bad. It almost it seems crazy cheap now. At the time, they seemed so expensive, but like $4 for a frozen pizza, where like if you were to get a like that's like 2 or 3 times the size of like a keto-fied frozen pizza at the grocery store, they want like $10. I mean, even at Rockstar Pizza here in Brownsburg, Indiana, where we go, they do keto pizza. It's like a medium little. It's a 12-inch pizza. It's a medium sized pizza. It's $15 before you add toppings. So that price is just one of those things, you know. And Chris is saying, I think eating this way is much easier when we focus on wanting stuff that's good for us instead of fixating on what we can't have, and makes a huge difference for me. Hence my recipes and having fun. 100%. And I think it takes a while for that shift to happen. Like when we first started, the longing for Oreos or whatever was so strong. It was difficult. It doesn't bother me now. Like I could care less if I have another Oreo or not. There were things I would like. Corn dogs. Give me corn dogs all day. I do miss corn dogs. And there hasn't been a real decent corn dog replacement. I mean, there just hasn't. There's just a consistency and a texture. I mean, if you come up with that, Chris, we'll put that in the mass production. We'll both get rich. But you know, keto corn dogs, like legitimately dip and fry. And Becky says, I'm the same way, like meat and eggs over medium for meal. I have a bad reaction to most vegetables and mostly stay away from them. Yeah. I mean, and I remember when I first started, I remember like eating too many vegetables and then having like joint pain the next day. And I was like, well, that's weird. Now it hasn't happened really since, but I don't know, like maybe it was the transition I was going through. I was new keto and all that stuff. Like, you know, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things like, I mean, sometimes I just get a little gassy. Normally, if I'm on track, I'm not gassy at all. I start incorporating things like Chalk Zero chocolate or Chalk Zero peanut butter cups. I'll get a little gassy, you know. Occasionally, I have what I want. I'll have that. I want those cheese and peanut butter crackers, so I get some. I used to keep those on my desk drawer at work. I kept those and the wheat and cheese ones, and I'd keep Pop Tarts in there because Pop Tarts were healthy, and you're supposed to eat like 5 times a day, keep your metabolism up. I would get sleepy, so I had food on my desk all the time, so I wouldn't get sleepy. I had energy drinks in the fridge, and I would have and drink lots of coffee, But I still think about those sometimes, and I still like I'll get sugar free or like no sugar added peanut butter, and I'll get the good, which is surprisingly clean compared to their chocolate spread, which has maltitol in it. But their fruit spreads are relatively clean. I'll get grape jelly from Good, mix that together, put it on some keto bread, and have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because there's something that just the nostalgia, that memory, because there is a longing for those things, and that kind of never quite goes away, at least not for me. And I can, ignore it for a while, but every once in a while, I mean, like I have, as things come out, as there's like no sugar added peanut butter. That's like Jif has one that's relatively clean. It's like in a blue container and it's got the same Jif consistency. So it has that kind of thing going for it. You mix it up with the peanut with the jelly and just have it on bread. Now, is that the best thing you could have? No. But is it better than going and buying a box of Uncrustables? Yeah. I mean, you just got to make compromises sometimes. And Becky's saying, please address stalling. I do OMAD, eat ground beef and bacon and eggs, and I couldn't break a stall. So, how long of a stall? Because a stall is like something like 6 weeks or more. And I think it really comes down to, are you eating enough? Are you not? Are you eating too much? Chances are you may not be eating enough. And that sounds so counterintuitive. If you're only eating, if you're eating like 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories, or whatever a day, you may not be eating enough. You may want to take and actually do like a food journal for a couple of like maybe a week or two and write down every single thing that you're eating to kind of get an understanding of exactly what you are eating. And then you can kind of start to narrow down what may be the culprit. Let's see. Excessive moderation is the only way. If you're going to break keto and eat an entire menu of McDonald's, but do it once a year, if you're going to do it if you don't need to. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like for me, I'm not a fast food kind of guy. Now, I say that because we don't have In-N-Out Burger here. And I know it's probably different for you, Grant, because you're in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but I mean, here we've got tons of fast food. Like I used to love White Castles, and I may have a White Castle once a year. Sometimes the mood strikes me, and I'm like, well, if I don't do this, it's gonna eat at me and eat at me and eat at me, and it's gonna be way worse. So I have to make conscious decisions on what I take under advisement, like what cravings I take under advisement, what ones I listen to, what ones I put off because I don't need it or don't really want it. I think it's a constant kind of give and take with yourself a little bit because especially for someone like me who did did get to a point where I was such a big binge eater and someone who did eat so much food, like it wasn't for me. Like I had no satiety signals. Like my satiety signals, like I knew I was full when I was so full that I thought I was going to literally burst open. That's how I would stop eating. So this lifestyle, that's another reason this lifestyle is so important to me because I understand satiety. I get full sometimes and I get angry because I haven't finished all my food, but I'm done. And I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting food. Sometimes I'll put it in the fridge and sometimes like, well, I know I won't eat that again. I'll throw it away. So I think we have to have these dialogues with ourselves. We have to understand ourselves. And I know some people don't want to hear that. And some people have come to terms with moderation, in a way that I'm only going to do this once or whatever. And that's going to be the end of it. And that's what's going to work for you. But I think most of us never really take the time to kind of get to know us, get to know yourself, and really get to know yourself and really get to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Because I think if we can get to know our strengths and play on our strengths, like for me, I know that I like beef and I like eggs, and I know that if I eat these things, I'm going to feel good and I like them a lot, and I can add some bacon in there and I'm going to be successful. Then I have to understand my weaknesses as well. I understand that weaknesses are things like things that I do want to eat that I know I shouldn't eat. Then I have to play on those weaknesses with my strengths. And I have to really work at kind of playing chess almost with myself, almost like, okay, how am I going to succeed long term? How can I remain consistent? Because I figure there's 365 days a year. If I can maintain 95% consistency over 365 days, I'm going to call that 100% success. I don't know exactly how many days of how many days or how many meals. If we can think about it like this, say you eat 2 meals a day. You're a person who eats 2 meals a day, 365 days a year, 2 meals a day, and you have 10 mess up meals in a year. That's 10 out of 700 and whatever. This is a math class. But you've gone 365, so that's 600. 65 is one. So you're coming up almost 800 days and you messed up 10 meals, or 800 meals and you messed up 10. So what? I think we get so embattled on these things and these topics and these things, and we don't kind of stop to take stock in it. It's kind of like the maltodextrin issue with Element. So Element is an electrolyte company that has a very popular electrolyte. They're zero sugar electrolytes. Okay. For those of you who do not know, in uh the natural flavors, there is a bit of maltodextrin, and people are up in arms about it. And I was upset about it. And then I went looking and I found that there's 4 milligrams of maltodextrin in one packet of Element. The total package weight of Element is 6 grams, or 6,000 milligrams. I understand that Mr. Grant Gregory, I think he's in Australia. I think he's going to understand these grams more than us Americans because it's not ounces, but grams. So if you figure there's 4 milligrams in a package of Element. So to break that down, 1 teaspoon of maltodextrin is 5,000 milligrams, or 5 grams. So realistically, you're looking at over 1,000 packets to reach 5 grams of carbohydrates of maltodextrin. Now, as I said in the video that I made about this, that might impact you, but it might not. And if you think it does impact you, I would go and try something here. Like, I had somebody put a comment on a video about that very video. They said that they'd heard from somebody that there was 1 teaspoon in 2 packets. I was like, well, that's 2,500 milligrams of maltodextrin across each packet. It doesn't make any sense. Because 25 milligrams, if there was 2,500 milligrams of maltodextrin in a packet of element, that would be the first ingredient on the ingredients list by legal definition, because sodium is the first ingredient on a packet of element because there's 1,000 milligrams of sodium. But long story short, the reason I bring this up is the fact that maltodextrin isn't the best for a keto lifestyle. But if you are having one, maybe two packets of element a day, and that's 4 to 8 milligrams of maltodextrin, chances are that's not going to have any impact on your body. You're not going to notice it at all. There's not going to be any negative impacts, no positive impacts. Your body's probably not even really going to recognize that it's there. You're not going to see a bump in your glucose. But if you do, and you think it's the maltodextrin, go and try having one packet of Splenda. Splenda has 935 milligrams of maltodextrin per 1 gram packets. So check that out. And that's where I'm saying, like, if you're a person who eats 2 meals a day over the course of a year, say you have 20 meals that are bad. Think about that as a consistency standpoint. You're looking at 700 plus meals, and 20 of them were not good. You still got an A. I don't know. That's just the way I kind of look at things, because I think our lives are not a zero sum. I mean, our lives are finite no matter what we do. Hungry Heath says, you're always rough when your spouse, becomes your partner in crime. Yeah. Beg, is it possible you were not eating enough? That could create a stall. Your body holding on to everything. Oh, Matt, isn't for everyone. I couldn't do it. Everything in moderation, including moderation. I love that. I mean, that's the thing, is like, I know moderation doesn't work for me. And that sounds counterintuitive. What I said is, like, I still allow myself certain things across time, but that's not a moderation thing. Like I said, I will order what I'm going to have. I'm going to consume that. And if I don't, I'm either giving it to someone to take home with them, or I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to do my best to not have leftovers. So that, to me, is the only way that I can survive in that situation. And Grant says, that's my issue. I eat what I want. I want all the bad stuff. I need to be held back. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the thing, is like, until you can get to a place where what you want is good, then self-moderation or that stuff, you got to do what you got to do. And that's understanding yourself is part of the battle. It's half the battle. It's like what G.I. Joe used to say, knowledge is half the battle. And Evelyn says, here's my theory. I have spent my whole life being controlled by food. I like having treats that don't derail my health journey. I don't mind sweet coffee and fudge, but I'm still healthier now. Yeah. I mean, realistically, if you've gone, as a person, you've gone from having 2 to 3 to 5 meals a day of the standard American diet into having 2 meals a day keto or keto-ish, dirty keto, carnivore, and you've had 20, 30 meals over the course of a year that aren't keto, I think you're winning. I think you're doing just fine. I think we become so hard on ourselves. And I understand that we have to be careful. We have to be mindful. We don't want to backslide into where we were before. But I think we have to give ourselves grace, because we are not perfect beings. And I understand I'm not perfect to the point that I'm not going to strive for perfection. I'm going to strive for consistency. And I know I feel like I say that all the time. It's kind of like a thing now, but consistency over perfection is the only real way that I can understand to be totally successful long term. Becky, Charlie's saying, what sort of fat and protein ratio do you get per day, week? I found there's a difference in mental energy and stalling at, say, 60% fat versus 80%, and the latter being better for both. Yeah. Stacy is here. We love Stacy. Curing is what I was thinking of. Curing the eggs and salt with honey is awesome, but it breaks keto so quickly. I was like, yeah, so I mean, they were doing it with just honey, and it looked phenomenal. It looked so good. But at the same time, I'm like, that's even a lot for me. Like, that seems so sweet and weird. But I've never even tried like salt cured eggs either. But I'd be curious to try those. I might make a video about it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yes, that's what I salt cured eggs. Yeah, cured. Couldn't think of the word cured. Maybe I haven't had enough coffee yet. If I can find the mouth hole. Wait, Waffle House had an all-you-can-eat option? That sounds that sounds so sus. I did not even know that was a thing. Salt does cure a lot of things. Charlie with the dad jokes. Big Bob is here. Hello, Big Bob. How are you doing, sir? I hope you're doing well. Are you are coming to the 18th, May 18th? We were talking about May 18th is the keto meetup in Amo. Reach out to Jackie and let her know. We've dried eggs and salt to great, but I personally can't do honey. Yeah, that's the thing, is like I've never really been a honey person myself. My mom used to love mixing honey and peanut butter together, or she would even do maple syrup and peanut butter together. But yeah, I was never a huge honey person. And I don't even know if I've ever had real honey or not. I don't know. We always had the honey that came in the bear-shaped bottle. So I don't know if that was real or just like sugar water or sugar paste or whatever. Yeah, that's the thing is like I can't track. I mean, it would just drive me bananas to the point where I'm going to give up. And I was like, that's just part of understanding me and understanding Stacy. Cheesy garlic bread. Yeah, that's so good. I always forget to get the round provolone to put on top so it gets that nice bubbly top. I did so last night for like I was still hungry towards the end of the night, and I took like a cheddar jack cheese that crisps up real good in the pan. I put that down and let it get good and crispy, and then put down a layer of pepperoni, and then I put down a layer of mozzarella cheese on top, and let that get good and crispy. Then I flipped it over, just like toss it in the pan and flipped it. So then let the mozzarella get a little brown and crispy as well. And I cut it into little strips, and then so Costco has had their own Tuscan pasta sauce. Doesn't have any oils in it or anything like that. It's just clean ingredients. It's like a Tuscan blend. It tastes pretty good too. I would say mix a little bit of garlic into it, but it's pretty low carb. It's on par carb wise with Rayo's, but it's like 25% cheaper than Rayo's, even at Costco. And you get 3 jars. It's pretty good. We still have some Rayo's in the fridge. We don't use a lot of pasta sauce, but every once in a while, that's just so good. Like just that garlicky, cheesy, pizza-y kind of thing going on. Well, the downside for him, I think, because he's in Australia, he can't get keto chow. I don't think, right? Maybe you can. I think it's Canada that has trouble right now with keto chow. Australia may have keto chow, but I was watching Mel's live last night, and she's saying that in Australia you can't even get allulose. Allulose is banned in Australia because it's too new and they haven't really known. Even though it's like I know it's FDA approved, but they were like, "Well, it's available in America." But I was like, "Well, being available in the United States doesn't really kind of give it the bright green light. You should. It's not the flex you think it is." But I was just thinking, like that's crazy that allulose isn't legal in Australia. She said she's ordered it before and they've let it through customs, but most of the time she can't get it. I set my carb manager to 40% protein. I'm averaging 70 grams protein per day and 50 grams of fat. I don't think that's enough. I really don't think that's enough. I mean, for me, I mean, and I'm a big guy, but I still think like I think most people. I think I would say that 100 grams would be bottom of the barrel. 100 grams of protein, and I would probably try to do definitely more fat. I don't know. Well, yeah, you grew up not far from Albanese gummy bears anyway, right? You grew up in Indiana, I think. Yeah, goal protein is 100 grams per day. I love you too, Leek. Have a safe day. And what we're having family dinner tonight. If you're still listening, come over and eat with us. I have no idea what we're having, but show up anyway. Let's see. Just curious the rationale for your 100 grams. I would say, like, for like realistically, I would say, Charlie, is like the average person, 100 grams of protein should be kind of the base. I mean, for most people, unless you have something going on where, like protein really impacts glucose or whatever, and you're doing whatever you got to do. But I think 100 grams of protein should be the base for people, realistically. That's just my honest opinion. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional. We call corn dogs Polto Pops over here, or a battered Dav. You guys have weird names for stuff, and I mean, like in the shortening of the words, like brekkie and all these things. I'm like, come on, guys. Um, I mean, and also I've been watching way too much Bluey, too much Bluey, way too much Bluey, like too much Bluey. Big Belly Bob is here. Good morning, Bob. Are you back home? Are you back home again in Indiana? Are you still on vacation? I hope you're still on vacation. Don't hurry back home. Keto carnivore corn dogs challenge accepted. Yes, because like I find that the batter, any batter, like doesn't stick to the hot dog right. It's almost like it just doesn't stick. It just slides right off. Where like a real corn dog batter just sticks to the hot dog. So hopefully you can get that, and then you will be king. Let's see. Comes down to want to. Do you want to become and stay healthy? Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Recipe for those hash browns. I know. What is for tomorrow? Brekkie. There's that brekkie again. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you just for some reason getting the batter to stick is the hardest. Like it's just ridiculous. Might take sandpaper and rough up the hot dogs. Yeah, to prevent muscle bone loss, I've been told I'm with osteoporosis should have gone. I would say too, if you're with osteoporosis, I would make sure. Again, I'm not a doctor or a healthcare professional. This is not medical advice, but I would make sure you are upping your magnesium intake. Magnesium is huge. Everybody pushes calcium, but I think magnesium is what I've understanding is correct there. But I'm not sure. That's not medical advice. Do your due diligence. Let's say, yeah, that makes sense. The starch holds the typical batter together is difficult thing to imitate. Essentially, since I'm allergic to almonds and almost every keto recipe uses almond flour, makes things really fun. I've got so I use for my chicken strips, I use egg whites. I've accidentally used like the not egg whites, it's the egg beaters. I got a generic version of egg beaters one time because the grocery store I went to, the egg whites and the egg beater generic were like the same color container. And I was just in a hurry and I was like, whoop. And then I got home and I'm pouring it. The thing is yellow. And I'm like, well, that's weird. But both work. But utilizing, I found that the egg beater stuff kind of got a little more crispy, but not the best. I would say that's why when the last time I've made something like that, I use like some actual yolks in there as well. So mostly egg whites with a couple whole eggs, but whole like egg whites, maybe a couple whole eggs, Parmesan cheese, and um, a little bit of gelatin, and let that bloom and let that sit in there and bloom for a while. Then you dredge in like chicken tenders and drop those into and it's got to be nice and thin. It can't be thick. It's counterintuitive. You think that it would need to be thick, but it doesn't. But thin and just like it doesn't look like it has much on it, but then you drop it in the fryer and it gets golden brown and delicious. So I mean, I have those videos on my but the videos that I have, I think I used oat fiber flour, but I have since made it with um the gelatin, the unflavored beef gelatin, and it worked just the same. So I would try that as well. I don't think that would work for hot dogs, but that's just a coating for chicken and stuff that I've used that doesn't use almond flour or you know. And I think you could even mix some pork panko in there too, but I think it would be better to not. I've made Chris cooking Nashville shrimp and it's yummy with shrimp. Oh, I need to try. I need to try that. Let's see. Got it. Thanks for clarifying. I'm always fascinated learning what other people's carnivore n equals one journey is. I'm different starting point, but being 100% for bone mineral density at 9.0. Goodness. According to my one DEXA scan. Let's see. I'm staying away from almonds. I don't do baking keto treats of any kind. If baking done, it's carnivore recipe with pork rinds. Let's see. What makes it tough and steer clear when I'm creating my recipes for that reason? Becky says, I have to try another electrolyte supplement. Any recommendations? So, Redmond's Relight flavored and Element flavored, I believe both of those do contain a maltodextrin in the flavors, but we've talked about that a little bit. I imagine they're both the same. Salty uses guar gum as the emulsifier or the binder instead of maltodextrin. Um, I think you're going to, realistically, I would say you would look at which one's going to give you the most of what you're looking for. Most of them are pretty low magnesium. I would kind of see like what the daily recommendation for magnesium is, and kind of go from there and pick one based on which one has what you like. And then also what kind of tastes the best. That's going to be really come down to what is, I mean, if you buy something that doesn't taste good, you're not going to drink it. I mean, and most, I think, I know Element has unflavored, and I know Redmond's Relight has unflavored, and so does Salty. So those may be what you may want to look at, and you can always add your own flavoring. So, you know, yeah. But we use some sugar-free liquid IV in the house. I have Redmond's Relight. I have Perfect Keto electrolytes. I have Element. I have Salty. I have all of them. I mean, realistically, let me see here. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I mean, I've got liquid IV sugar free sitting here. I don't know if this has any magnesium in it. Let's see. I don't know if this has any magnesium in it or not. I don't think it does, which weirdly enough. It's got calcium 0, iron 0, potassium 380 milligrams, sodium is 530 milligrams. I don't think there's any magnesium in this, so this probably wouldn't be good for you. We got the Salty. Magnesium, they all have ranging between about 180 milligrams, between 178 and 182, depending on the flavor of magnesium. And then I think that the Element, I think they're like 60 milligrams of magnesium. So Salty may be your choice. It's essentially 1/10 of a teaspoon for the carbs. So let's see. Just for what it's worth, I use them all. And salty is my personal favorite. Feel my best and think it tastes the best too. My thing is with salty, I don't like the lemon lime. The lemon lime tastes funky to me, but all the other flavors that I've had, I've loved. Let's see. We have found we can sub pork panko for almond flour 1-to-1 ratio and still make things, but still makes things difficult. Let's see. The difficulty with things is subbing is they're very different from each other and other aspects, making recipe creation harder. Yeah. I'm still not a huge person against aspartame. It's probably not the best one for us. Um, but I like sucralose better, and I've been looking, and I've got some Shasta to try and do a review on Shasta because it is a soda made out of sucralose instead of aspartame. So I'm going to do a taste test on that and see how that tastes. Let's see. We rolled over and went back to sleep listening to you now. Well, we appreciate that. Well, I mean, I know sleeping in is good. Sometimes you just got to sleep. Perfection is the enemy of progress. I gave up trying to be perfect keto carnivore a long time ago, just try to do better each day. Yeah, I mean, and like for me, like just like whether I'm maintaining or just doing, just being consistent is the biggest thing for me. Like, and I'll look back and go, okay. So I think we get so hard on ourselves. It's like, when if you, someone who weighs every day and they're like, well, I'm up 4.4 today, or I'm, then they get discouraged and then they're down a pound and then they're up a pound. And then it's so easy to get discouraged. So I try to remove all those barriers from my life so that I can look at my progress and make it through. Am I doing as good as I can? And am I not backsliding? My biggest struggle is pizza and those Facebook ads blasting Domino's. You can block those. You can say I don't want to see anything from Domino's anymore. Then they'll probably show you something else. But it's just kind of a pain in the butt to go in and deactivate all the ones you don't want to see. Jahil is here. I need some to take away my credit cards and give them to me when I need it and stop ordering food. Oh my goodness gracious. That's one thing I delivered for DoorDash, but I've never used the service. I never used it, never went and never did DoorDash or Grubhub or any of those things. If I want it, I got to go get it. So I think that's a thing too. And another thing that kind of helps is like because all the stores close at like 10 o'clock, like 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock for grocery stores, and most fast food places aren't open late anymore. That helps because I'll be like, oh man, that really sounds good. Well, they're closed. Can't go get it. Darn. That does help me a lot. I want to try some yolks. I want to try salt cured yolks. I bet those might be good. I don't know just how salty they are. I imagine you can't eat very many and you'd have like 3 days worth of salt intake in a day. But I'd be super into trying salt cured egg yolks. That'd be kind of good. I don't think she would try it though. And Hungry he says, "Yep, back in high school we would play hearts and spades at Waffle House during the AYCE times, all you can eat times." Okay, so that was a long time. We were going to Denny's at that time. We weren't going to Waffle House because that was like before Waffle Houses were just kind of like on the outskirts, and then Denny's were where we were hanging out. I would love Costco to sponsor my channel. I want that real bad. That or like Liquid Death or like one of the things that I would use. Anything that I would use, like it's not going to put too much of a limit on me. Element would be nice because I know they pay well, but then I can't talk about other electrolytes, and I use other electrolytes, so that would drive me nuts because I like other ones. Like Perfect Keto black cherry is the favorite flavor, but it's not the best electrolyte. It's the best tasting, but it's not the best one. And sometimes element is the best one that I need, or sometimes salty works best for me, or whatever. I just think that's the way that it works. I don't take, well, let me see. I take intermittently, I take the electrolyte supplements. I'll take some pills, like I'll take like tablets or whatever, actual like what you would think of as a supplement. I have magnesium, calcium with vitamin D in it, and then sometimes I'll take some apple cider vinegar tablets. I bought some of those, just to try. We'll see how they go. Good morning, my lady laughs a lot. Yeah, that's what I was talking. As I was watching Mel, who's also in Australia, and she was saying that it's banned and she can't. She's had it come in and they were able to get through customs once, but she was like, it took her a long time to even look up why it was banned. And it's only banned because it's new, even though I mean it's FDA approved, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. We have not yet. We're wanting to watch it with the kids, but trying to find a time where Chandra's off, the kids can come over and actually sit down and watch an episode. Oh, I want to watch it so bad, and we've been watching the second season of Loot, and the first season was real good and there was good character building. And then at the end of the season, like you kind of felt like the characters had grown so much since the beginning of the episode, that's the beginning of the season. And then Loot season 2 starts, and it's almost like she's regressed like the beginning of like season 1, and everyone's kind of regressed back to where they were season 1. It's almost like they erased all of the progress that the characters had developed over themselves over that time. So I don't know. I don't know. It's not as good. Danny says he needs to track his food. I put on some weight, so I don't know if I'm eating enough, but just want to get to weigh everything. Don't want to weigh everything. Yeah, I think tracking it for informational purposes to get an understanding of where you are is highly beneficial. But getting to a place where you think you need to do it every day from now on, destructive for me. I think it would be, and that's kind of why I've also kind of got myself to where I'm eating like I like the frozen burger patties because I know they're already weighed. Ate 4 of those, and if I have like 6 or 8 eggs, I know what that kind of is, and I have a good understanding of what that is. And then so that means I don't have to weigh anything because it's already been weighed out for me. An egg is an egg, so you're going to be in a range. An egg is a range, not all eggs because they're all different sizes. But if you can 8 eggs, you have a general idea of where you are. And then with the 4 burger patties, I know about where I'm at. Or if I have, you know, 5 hot dogs or, have an idea of where I am. So I think that works to my benefit. I've been laughing for over 15 years at the best person on the planet. Thanks, Becky. Laughing is so important, like ridiculously so important. Hit the thumbs up. Please do hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. On whatever platform you're watching now, because it looks like there are 48 people watching across multiple platforms because I am streaming this out to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Yes, Keto Chow does have electrolyte drops and fasting drops and pills. They do have these salty pills here. So this is off. This is also an option. And 42 milligrams per or magnesium per tablet. So you'd probably want to take more than one. I think they say like the recommendation is what Dr. Barry said is like 10 of these a day, which I think is kind of crazy. Because I think if you take 7 of these, this will last you a full month. Because this is like $58 a bottle. So this is quite pricey. I still have plans to make a video about this. I haven't made a video yet. I've had it for a while. It's just to me like I understand that this is going to be something that people like, and they will find the $58 a valid and well worth it investment each month. but it's like something that's hard for me to get behind because I find it difficult to be able to afford $58 a month for these. So I mean, that's just the disconnect. So like, to understand that that's like when I'm trying to promote something, it's something that I would buy myself. Or I mean, I think it's still a good product, but it's not something that I can really necessarily justify the expense for myself. And that makes it hard for me to push it out to you guys. But if you guys want to try it, I mean, there's always links below for this and Salty, and I don't have affiliates. I don't have any affiliation with Liquid IV or Element or anything like that, but I do with Keto Chow and Salty, and you know. Let me see. If you learn to love yourself where you are, and we all deserve to, it's much easier to take steps to get where you want to be. Yeah, 100%. I think that self-loathing or like the self-deprecation or not even being able to look at yourself like even though I am not who I was in 2014, 2015, 2016, I still will see that person in the mirror. It's hard to look at yourself and really think, wow, look at me. Look at me. I'm doing wonderful. And sometimes I can. Sometimes I can look at me and go, you know what? Look, it's hard to look at me and see a person that is attractive or whatever without sounding conceited. Um, it's just difficult. It's been that way for my whole life. Like, seeing myself as somebody that is a normal looking human being. I know I'm symmetrical to a degree, I don't know. It's difficult for me. And I think it always will be, maybe. He says, I've had several folks reach out to me today that aspartame has caused MS. Indications show up on medical tests. I mean, it very well could. I honestly don't know. I mean, I just like to me, like I know that when they do tests and they show instance of what it does to rats, they're giving like a rat more than we would be able to consume in like a week per day or something like that. Some crazy amount, like a couple of cases worth of soda of aspartame. It would be in a couple of cases of soda. And I know that doesn't necessarily translate to rats or whatever, to humans. So I'm always a little skeptical about that stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure that there are some negative consequences to it, but I always wonder, are the negative consequences of aspartame, do they outweigh the negative consequences of the full sugar soda? Or, because I mean, I do try to buy like the bubbly and the LaCroix and stuff, but like that stuff just doesn't have the same impact to me. It is difficult. So, you know, are you talking about you're talking about our, um, what am I talking about here? We talking about the quail egg video? That was funny editing that thing. I was laughing. Tony says I'm the real MVP. Now, if only I could come up with something funny for MVP. Ooh, thank you. I appreciate you. Jackie. Hello, Jackie. How are you doing, sweetheart? Yeah, so consistency is key. I'm walking walking months and months. And my weight is going up a few. Eating is not bad. Ketovore, carnivore. I like that I thought I could tell your mom not eating veggies and I eat more vegetables now than I did as a kid. Like legitimately, like I enjoy broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I even buy like green beans and stuff, and I love them. And when I was a kid, I would barely. My mom would make us eat carrots, but she would load them down with sugar and like brown sugar and stuff for us to eat those. And then we would have my grandma would make green beans, and she would put onion and equal in it. So I was eating aspartame green beans. So let's see. Chris is saying Eating salt cured yolks over a food like Parmesan is incredibly good. Over a steak or burger. Oh, that sounds delicious. I really do need to try that. The yolks don't absorb the salt. The salt absorbs the moisture, and they are dry, and you can grate them on top of what you're eating. Like, oh, that sounds phenomenal. I do want to try those. I love Chris cooking Nashville's giant block of Parmesan cheese. I can't find it at my local grocery store. Um, we've seen big blocks at Costco. A lot of times, like the grocery stores aren't going to carry it unless they have like a cheese section. Like I think like Kroger, I don't know where you are, but Kroger's usually has a decent cheese section. And I think like they will cut you as big a slice or biggest chunk as you want, or you can. I know it's expensive, but I know that there is places like Whole Foods and they have a whole cheese section and they will cut like if you don't want to buy like if they've got them already sectioned out and you don't want to buy that much, they'll cut it in half or cut it into like a fourth or whatever and they'll rewrap it for you. Andy is what Evelyn's saying to Milady laughs a lot. Let's see. Might sound bad, but I like some flavor to my water. I do too. I mean, and that's why we utilize like those flavor enhancers, and we use the lime flavored packets. The lime, it's like basically granulated lime, like freeze dried lime. We like that in our water. Um, so I don't buy Element. So JJ says he doesn't buy Element because it's the most expensive brand, and I have to budget my money. I mostly use the Keto Chow Daily Mineral Liquid version. So that's one thing that I'm gonna work on a video as well. So, like I said, I'm not affiliated or have nothing to gain from Element. But if you buy Element from their website and you have to make an investment. But for Element to be the same price or on par with Salty and all the other brands, you got to buy or 3 boxes and you get a fourth box free. So you're paying $45 a box, but you're buying 3 boxes and you're getting so basically whatever 45 times 3 is, and then you get a third or fourth box for free. Then it really does kind of come out and be the same price. It's just a big investment, so I understand where that is. But I've only bought Element like the unflavored for fasting and stuff. If I'm going to do a long fast, I'll buy a 30 pack of the Element. Most of the Element I get for free because I get it from meetups and things like that. So, and would you recommend footloose dancing in a small town as a form of exercise, or would I get in trouble for that? I guess it depends on which town you're in, Jihil. I don't know. You might want to take a look at that and see what kind of trouble you can get into because you know and I mean if you're going to try to have your prom in a small town that is already outlawed dancing, then by golly, you need to fight for your right to party. The flavored water is totally normal. After I walk, I'll down a whole bottle of water plain, but otherwise I I like bottled water. Like um I like Ice Mountain the best, you know. Let's see. What about supplements? Organic pills, gut pills? I don't take any of that stuff. I don't. I don't bother. I mean, I used to take like a multivitamin, but I don't even do that anymore. I don't know if I should. Oregon. Yeah, if there was I don't know. I haven't seen any Oregon pills, but that would probably be the best way to do it. I mean, because Oregon meat is kind of sus. I mean, I'm sure if I ate it all the time, I'd probably get to where I liked it, but I just haven't got there. But I'd be willing to entertain looking at Oregon pills or whatever if they were priced right. I've cycled through all the emotions, hating myself, giving up on myself, angry at myself, disappointed in myself. So glad I've come full circle and now just love myself. I don't have a problem with myself as a person. I'm totally cool with me as a person. I like where I'm at as a person, but it's who I see in the mirror that I have the issue with. And I don't know how I don't know how. I mean, that's just one of those things that's going to have to go away over time. It's just you kind of get to the point where you get so upset at what you look like for so long that it takes a long time to really kind of come to terms with that's not who you are anymore. I'm glad you got enjoyment out of that video. That's what I was hoping for. I went into the video thinking I was really going to like them because I mean, that's why she got them and she made them for me because I was excited about them. I had seen that they sold them at Bucky's and was excited. But, what time is this over? I need to go roll, smoke a couple of fatties. I don't know. We'll probably be done here soon. Um, we're already at 2 hours, so I'm not trying to go Friday night Heath wise. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to talk myself into rolling out of bed. I feel you. Jaheel is amazing. I love Jaheel. We've been friends for a good while. If you tune into my live at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be showing all the supplements I take every day. That's a lot. I'm working on developing a carnivore Cajun dirty rice. Great way to get some organ meats. Evelyn is headed to church. Thank you for being here, dear. Be safe. We'll see you soon. Um, that sounds good. Like I made some like some Thai coconut curry rice the other night with cauliflower rice, and it was really good. It was a little higher in carbs than I would have liked for a normal meal, but I still think it probably came in. It was like really the only meal I had for the day, and I made it with chicken thighs. So I cut up chicken thighs and I had it. It was probably with the cauliflower rice and the sauce and the rice. It was probably 50 total carbs for the whole meal, which is a lot more than I normally would have, but it was so good. It was a Kevin's brand, so it was pretty clean. It said keto friendly, but it was still kind of heavy carbs. I don't know what it was like net carb wise, but I try to focus solely on the total because I think net carbs get us into trouble. I've got a carnivore coconut curry rice I perfected and will release soon too. Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I've started taking cod liver oil, big bottle, orange flavor to help it down. Anyone else tried? I know I used to take like fish oil and all that stuff, but it's just so hard to find a good, solid, like reputable company that's not already rancid by the time you buy it, and it's not super expensive. That's the problem that I have. Currently, just incorporate liver into ground beef. I just like liver too is not as it's kind of expensive, and I'm like, ugh, I'm cheap. Let's see, we'd be using gizzards and such, chicken or from chicken or turkey. I have a chicken, I have a chicken heart and gizzards video, and I was kind of making it, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't clean the gizzards out. So I mean, yeah, so that was weird. But that video's still up there, and I'm sure if anybody who understands how to cook gizzards saw the video, like you didn't clean the gizzards out. I know that now, but I still put up videos so you can see my fails. Still tasted okay, but yeah. Anyway, so let's see. I need a carnivore version of beef lo mein. Yes. I imagine that you can turn uh Chris's noodles into beef lo mein. I'm sure it would be good. I'm sure he can get on it. Well, I want to say thank you so much to all the members that we have here, all the people that come and they hang out and talk with me. It's been over 2 hours. I haven't even finished my coffee. How crazy is that? It means I've been talking too much. Mm. chicken and dumplings. Oh, yeah, sounds good. You know what? That's like the thing. Like, I think about the foods that my great grandmother used to make for me. She used to make hush puppies. She'd make homemade hush puppies. She would make homemade chicken and dumplings. She would make me, and then on my birthday every year, she would make me a giant chocolatey Eclair cake. And these are things like, okay, so I know we talk about like food and all that stuff isn't whatever, but like food is so ingrained with family that like I think about my great grandma and I think about what she used to cook for me, and I miss her. I miss the talks we would have because she lived till I was 20 or almost 20. No, I was 20, and she was born in 1912 and lived to 2000. She like lived till she's 87 years old. And so that's just one of those things. Like when we would show up at her house, she would start cooking food. She always made, green beans with potatoes and, that whole Southern cuisine because she was from Kentucky, the hollers of Kentucky. And, it's just one of those things like we talk about food and how ingrained it is in like our DNA. I think truly is like, I mean, it's from the time we're born, people show food, love with food and togetherness with food. I just think it's so difficult, if not impossible, to really get away from that. And, I think about chicken and dumplings and I think about, shrimp and grits and just all the things, you know. Well, thank you so much for being here. We totally appreciate you and have a good rest of your day. Wait, what are we saying giggity about? Giggity. Have a good day, Andy. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, yeah, it was just like, she taught me how to cook. I would cook my own breakfast at her house. I'd use like cast iron skillets and make bacon and eggs. And I would microwave my own Eggo waffles, whatever, you know. Yeah, you can. I need to try my chicken strip batter because I watched. I really, really, really want fish and chips, but the crunchy fish. Oh, I need it so bad. And I imagine that it would be my chicken strip batter would be really good on fish. I just got to buy some cod and make it. She is not coming on all of April, so her and Richard are taking the month of April, not doing any lives. She did release a video this month, so take a look at that. But she is not going live until May. So yeah. But I do miss a good fish batter. I just need to get some cod fish fillets and make my batter and fry them up and see how good it is or how not it is or whatever. Which flavor? Chocolate? Yeah. But I miss like Long John Silver's type batter. I miss that. That good, crunchy, delicious. Yeah. There is a carnivore hush puppy. It's just egg and Parmesan cheese. Play around with that, Chris. Play around with the batter. Like I said, the batter that I use is primarily egg whites with a couple of whole eggs thrown in because I think the yolk helps a little bit, and then beef gelatin and Parmesan cheese. I don't know whether or not pork panko would work better. I've done it, made chicken nuggets with that, and I haven't edited the video yet because I'm lazy. But yeah, I think that would work really, really well. And if it works, then yeah. All right. I need to get out of here. I love your faces. Thank you all so, so very much for coming in and hanging out with me all morning for over 2 hours. Each and every one of you mean the world to me, whether you're a member or just a friend hanging out. I love all of you. You guys are great. Anyway, happy Sunday. I will see you all real soon. And until Tuesday, we'll see you next Tuesday.